Ole Miss students are reacting this week to the loss of a yearly tradition.
The new plans for spring are leaving students without a break and families scrambling to make new plans. That and more coming up.
Good evening and thank you for tuning to Newswatch Ole Miss. I'm KYLEE DEDMON.
And I'm Jack DELUCA.
If you are one of those super planned out people who is already searching for the best spring break deals vacation, I'm unfortunately going to burst your bubble.
That's right, because spring break is actually canceled this year for Ole Miss in order to end the spring semester early. This is how students are taking the news.
The University of Mississippi recently announced its plans to cancel the 2021 spring break.
I'm definitely a planner. I love to plan ahead, and my friends and I, we definitely plan to go somewhere for spring break this upcoming year.
This cancellation has brought up the topic of safety amongst students. Some, like Ole Miss senior Tavia Moore, say that having no spring break makes her feel less secure from the virus.
If anything, I wish I did have a break. That would make me feel a lot more, I don't know, I guess secure, like alleviate any stresses that I have from taking all these classes online because it hasn't been easy, so a break would have been nice.
But as for Ole Miss freshman Luke Keener, he says that he believes the university made the right decision.
Because, I mean, if a bunch of students went on spring break, there's a chance they would have all got it and then came back here, so I understand why they did it.
Along with the news of spring break being canceled, the university also announced that classes will end on April 23rd, with finals ending on April 30th. AJ Norwood, Newswatch, Ole Miss.
Alongside these changes, both graduation dates for 2020 and 2021 classes are different. Classes are ending on April 23rd, with exams following on the 26th. The City of Oxford had a Board of Aldermen meeting to discuss revoking outdoor dining licenses for some restaurants and bars. Several establishments have been violating the city's emergency resolution and Serving Oxford Safely plan. No formal action was taken by the board, but the number of citation and second chances was heavily discussed. Restaurant and bar owners are to be given a clean slate before having their outdoor dining license revoked. It is not clear on how many citations are to be given out before the license is taken up. Many restaurant owners attended the meeting but did not speak up on the matter.
And even with these restaurant violations, Lafayette County is seeing a decline in COVID-19 cases, although Mississippi itself is not following this trend. Ole Miss currently has 28 active confirmed COVID-19 cases, including both student and staff, still following with a steady decline while experiencing over 600 confirmed cases inside the town of Oxford since school resumed, which is according to the university dashboard. Lafayette County reported 103 active cases, a continuing decline for our area. The state, unfortunately, is not looking as good, reporting over 1,300 cases after canceling the statewide mask mandate a few weeks ago. All reports from Wednesday. And to help Ole Miss track the virus data, students, faculty, and staff are encouraged to schedule a free asymptomatic COVID-19 test, with fun incentives included.
The University of Mississippi is providing free asymptomatic COVID-19 testing through the Sentinel Testing Program. Chair of Sentinel Testing Strategy Task Force, Douglas Sullivan Gonzalez, says the program aims to test around 4,000 people.
Task Force's charge is creating the kind of testing strategy that focuses on asymptomatic, that is, those without symptoms who might be present in the population. And it just takes a very small percentage to become the super spreader.
In order to receive a test, students, faculty, and staff must be selected, then take an eligibility survey.
Possible testing times are sent to the UM community through official school email. Oxford police arrested Tyler Murphy early last Sunday morning in connection with 2 home invasions near the Hooper Hollow area, according to the Daily Mississippian. Police responded to a call of a male in residence and found Murphy after recognizing a second similar incident. Murphy was allegedly exposed on a doorbell camera wearing only a face mask and socks. Yes, you heard that right, only a face mask and socks. Police have charged Murphy with 2 counts of burglary, home invasion, and Murphy is currently in custody at the Lafayette County Detention Center, and Lafayette County Circuit Court will hear this case.
4 men from Jackson, Mississippi have been charged for armed robbery and burglary in Oxford. The action took place Tuesday morning at 2:35 when officers were dispatched to the scene. The 4 men have been charged with 4 counts of armed robbery, 1 count of burglary, home invasion, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit armed robbery. All 4 received a bond set by the Lafayette County Just Court System. And the Lafayette County Board of Supervisors is considering issuing a bond for $13 million that would help pay for renovations of the Sheriff's Department and extend George G. Patterson Parkway. This would increase the ad valorem taxes up 1.63 mileage, which has not changed since 2017. No vote was taken by the supervisors as the meeting was to review the information and discuss all options.
And as Election Day approaches, it's no surprise that voting during a global pandemic might look a little different for many. Newswatch reporter KYLEE Crafton joins us now with the story.
Whether it be to coronavirus-related concerns or simply being out of their voting districts, many Ole Miss students are turning to absentee voting to make sure their voices are still heard. We're just over 2 weeks away from the 2020 presidential election, and not only are we voting on the leader of the free world, but many are voting on other matters such as the approval of Mississippi's new state flag, the men and women that will represent each state in Congress, and more. And as a campus composed of around 40% out-of-state students, several are unable to make the drive home to their voting districts for Election Day. Another voting-related problem many students are facing this year is COVID-related concerns, such as anxieties about exposure to the disease at polling places or possibly having to quarantine. But despite these difficulties, several students are still ensuring that they get their say in this election. Senior and Missouri native Levi Petex requested his absentee ballot weeks in advance to ensure his voice is heard.
I try to vote in every election that I can, especially these very important ones like the presidential election. It's very consequential. So I thought that it was really important to be proactive and try to get my ballot as soon as possible and vote to make sure my vote counts.
But in Missouri and many other states, Mississippi included, these absentee ballots must be notarized in order for these votes to count. Fortunately, Ole Miss students can have their ballots notarized for free by emailing engaged@Ole Miss to schedule an appointment. PackMail also notarizes ballots for a small fee, as well as the Oxford Public Library. Senior Jared Scott is another student that's utilizing the opportunity to vote absentee as he considers it part of his civic duty.
It's kind of like almost like a bystander effect. Like, oh, if just I don't do it, it's not that big of a difference. But if everyone had that mindset, then, change can't be made. So I think it is important for everyone to kind of take their part and do their civic duty to vote.
Although absentee ballots will be accepted if notarized, mailed, and postmarked by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, November 3rd, those voting this way are encouraged to go ahead and send their ballots due to potential mail delays.
You know, Jack, after all that rain last week, I'm so glad to finally get some sunshine.
Absolutely, KYLEE. Weather is up next to help you prepare for the weekend when we return.
Ole Miss. My name is Kelly Weatherton and I'm here with this weekend's weather. Starting us off with our current temperatures of northern Mississippi, we have a high of 64 in South Haven, a high of 63 in Holly Springs, Corinth, and Oxford, and a high of 66 in Tupelo. Now taking a closer look at this evening's weather here in Oxford. We have a high of 63 degrees, sunny skies, winds light and variable, and a 0% chance of rain. Moving along to tomorrow's weather forecast, we can expect a high of 69 degrees, sunny skies, winds coming from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and a 0% chance of rain. Overall this weekend, we can expect to have cool temperatures and sunny skies with highs in the mid-60s and lows in the high 30s and low 50s. And that is it for this weekend's weather. Have a great weekend, Rebels.
The Ole Miss football team had an impressive showing Saturday, but unfortunately couldn't come away with the win. But one Ole Miss team got a big win this weekend and broke records while doing so. Coming up next in sports, I'll fill you in on that and all the latest, so stay tuned.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
An undefeated Alabama team or having a player leading the country in receptions, Lane Kiffin feels that every week is a new chance to start with a clean slate.
Every week's a new week. Every game's a new life. What you've done before never matters, never has. Whether you're Elijah Moore leading the country in reception, I got nothing to do with Saturday, or whether you've given up a ton of yards. It's all new, and that's why they play the games.
Even with an optimistic mindset, the Ole Miss defense needs to make big changes in order to win critical games sooner rather than later. If you're focused on the Rebels giving Alabama a run for their money Saturday, you possibly missed Arkansas do the same thing to the Auburn Tigers. This week, Ole Miss heads to Fayetteville, and to get you ready for the matchup, Sports Watch reporter Emily Cochran has the stats in this week's Shark Bite Shakedown.
Ole Miss may be 1-2 after last weekend, but Lane Kiffin's Rebels impressed in more ways than one against the number 2 Crimson Tide. The SEC matchup was ESPN's most viewed game this season, with 4.9 million viewers and ESPN's most viewed Alabama game in 3 years. The first matchup between legendary Alabama coach Nick Saban and his former offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin was nothing short of interesting, with it being the highest scoring regulation game in SEC history. Alabama quarterback Mac Jones completed 28 of 32 passes for 417 yards to lead the Tide, while Harris showed off his Heisman Trophy medal with 206 yards and 5 touchdowns. Your Ole Miss Rebels torched the Alabama defense, racking up 647 yards, converted 9 of 17 third downs, and went 4 of 4 on fourth downs in a game that looked like what many are saying, basketball on grass. Matt Corral threw for 365 yards for Ole Miss, while running back Snoop Connor tallied career highs in both rushing yards and attempts. Another career day was had by running back Jerrion Ealy, who rushed for 120 yards, had 19 carries, and 2 touchdowns for the Rebs. Looking to tomorrow's road test against the unranked Razorbacks, Coach Kiffin hopes to fix the holes in his Rebel defense while keeping the success going on offense. We can expect an exciting matchup between these two SEC opponents, with Arkansas falling 28-27 in a controversial heartbreaker last weekend to number 13 Auburn. The week prior, Arkansas notched an impressive 21-14 road win over the number 16 Mississippi State. Coach Kiffin and his Rebel offense are a force to be reckoned with, and Ole Miss fans can expect to see that tomorrow with their not-so-secret weapons, Matt Corral, Jerrion Ealy, Elijah Moore, and Kenny Yeboah leading the charge.
With both teams holding a 1-2 record, a win tomorrow would bring one program to an even record and could be the start of a season turnaround. Catch the game tomorrow at 2:30 to see if Ole Miss can get back to 500. From the fields to the range, the Ole Miss rifle team opened the 2020 season in record-setting fashion in their victory over UT Martin on Sunday. The Rebels went on to set NCAA records with a team small ball score of 23-61 and top aggregate score in program history with a mark of 47-30. The Rebels were led by freshman standout Leah Horvath, who dazzled in her collegiate debut. Horvath was not the only Rebel shooter in their groove, as the top 8 small ball performers all came from Ole Miss. The Rebels look to use this momentum as they are set to travel to Memphis next weekend to take on the Tigers. Sliding over to the courts, the Ole Miss women's tennis team competed in the Music City Scramble over the weekend. The Rebels faced stiff competition on day 3 of the event, notching 3 wins against Auburn and Tennessee. Ole Miss duo Tiffany Fouquet and Kelsey Miles remained perfect in doubles as they took a hard-fought win over Tennessee. As for the singles match, the Rebels took 2 wins over Auburn with Sabina Makalova and Elisa Poole leading the way. Ole Miss will look to serve up more wins as they will compete in the Hail State Classic at Mississippi State tomorrow. Well, that's all we've got for sports. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Newswatch Ole Miss. Now, back to you.
Thanks, Jonte and Emily. And it's that time of year again when Apple releases another new iPhone.
And you know, just in time for the holiday season too, so people can put that new gadget at the top of their wish lists. That after the break. Stay with us.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Tech Junkies, it's time to pre-order that new iPhone beginning today for the iPhone 12 Pro and early November for the iPhone 12 Pro Max.
As usual, Apple is promoting a newly improved camera, but the look of this phone is a little bit of a throwback.
Yes, interestingly enough, the company chose to invert back to the iPhone 5 look with the sharper edges.
And of course, the new model comes at a price. The standard iPhone 12 Pro will cost $1,000, while the iPhone 12 Pro Max rings in at $1,100. Both before trading in your older phone.
Now back with looking at older phones, I remember my phone was the pink Razor that I loved growing up with.
There was something so satisfying about being able to snap that thing closed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in to Newswatch Ole Miss. I'm KYLEE DEDMON.
You can always catch our show on Facebook live stream, hottitoddy.com, and the local campus news channel. Make sure to also follow us on social media. I'm Jack DeLuca. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.